Hello, everyone. It's me, Scorpius. So yeah, about those lights, I have not seen them since. Um, so it has been a few days since, about 2 days since the phenomenon, and since then I haven't seen anything. First night I missed it. I meant to wake up early enough, but I ended up waking up at 5 instead of 4. So I ended up missing it. And then when I took my mother to dialysis this morning, nothing. So I guess they're just gone for now. But my mother did do some research and found that some similar events have happened in other parts of the state, as well as some other parts, possibly in the West Coast. And I think one sighting was in Eureka just about a year or two ago. I think it was 2017. Then there were a few other ones. I'm going to have to ask for a link. But yeah. Honestly, what I can describe was pretty much the same thing that I described in my first video. Yeah, I was taking my mother to dialysis at about, I say 4:50, and I got her. She managed to get into the car, and I was loading her wheelchair, and I just looked up and I noticed the usual stars in the sky, like the Big Dipper. And, well, pretty much Big Dipper is the only one I really recognize. And then, but I did notice that there were more stars than usual. And then I looked a little bit further up, and there was a string of stars being pulled in a straight line, pretty much from like here over to here. I'm by a river, not my house, but yeah, it was practically over my head. Just a little bit further to my right. And at first I just stopped and stared at them for a little while. They practically were moving in a straight line, except for maybe like a couple pairs that ended up moving a tad too fast, or ended up like grouping together a little bit. Some were like in 2 or like 3, but those were just a couple of them. The rest of them were all in perfectly spaced apart, moving in the exact same speed. And they all looked like stars. They were far away enough that they all just looked like little stars. Like a band of stars being pulled from one direction to the other. Like a necklace. Like a little pearl necklace across the sky. And, well, then after a couple seconds, I tried to call my mother, and she couldn't hear me through the glass because she was already in the car by then. And she was distracted herself, I believe, with her phone. So I ended up knocking on the window, and she ended up looking up after yelling at me what was going on. And she was just as mesmerized as I was. It was just so strange. It's the first time I ever seen something like that. I remember my family talking about strange things that happened to them. Some supernatural. I think my grandfather did say something about UFOs one time. I remember mentioning it in a Reddit account that I have that I'm hoping is still open, and maybe I'll put in a link a little bit later on about that. But yeah, I haven't seen it since. We ended up having to leave. I couldn't tape it. I tried to, but my camera phone just wouldn't tape it. It just kept presenting a dark sky. It wouldn't present what I was seeing. And it wouldn't even present the moon that my mother was talking about. Like she said, it was a nice crescent-shaped moon, and about slightly yellowish tint to it, and it was like facing this way. And then Venus was not too far away from it. It looked very, very beautiful. I thought maybe it was like aliens or something doing like a dance over the skies, like some kind of a ritual or some type of weird thing. My mother kept thinking it was part of some kind of bigger ship. I kept thinking it was like, if it was aliens, that it was just like a bunch of little ships just dancing. But she kept saying that it had been like part of something bigger. But the lights, everything was still on. The lights were working perfectly fine. Everything like that. Street lamps, everything worked perfectly fine. So if it was something that big, there was no way it would have, left out that much interference. It would have way more interference, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, well, I'll keep watching every now and again, see if anything else happens. As I said, this may have happened a few times before. But other than that, I'm pretty much gonna put this down just for now. If I happen to come across it, I'll update. Alright. Well, thanks to everyone who watched. Anyway, hope you all have a good weekend.